Hi, this is Leo from the Edge Learning Center. I'm the head of academics. So as you guys know, that the IB exam has been canceled. So I'm here to kind of give you guys some of my ideas, what you as a parent or as a student can do, and what can you expect as the time moves on. So the first thing that everybody is aware of right now is that the IB has announced officially that they're canceling the May exam. What they have not announced, though, is how are they going to give the students their scores. Now, they have been pretty clear that the students will be graded based on what their work and what the mock exams and the predicted grade. So they're not going to be only getting their score based on the predicted grade. So, however, what is not known for sure is that the method and how they're actually going to calculate the score. The school has actually not been communicated directly yet. As a matter of fact, we know that the IB is going to send a second wave of communications to the school, most likely before this Friday. So what that means is that the school will most likely then contact the parents and the students once they know more about what's going on. All right, so as a parent, as a student, what should you do right now? I mean, everybody has, kind of panicking, they're confused. This is literally the first time that IB actually has canceled exams, right? A lot of students relying on the exam score to go to the university they want to go to. So the first thing I would suggest students or parents to do is communicate with the universities that they are trying to apply or even they have applied to. So one thing that they can do is communicate right now or contact the university counselors, university school administrations, see if there's any extra thing that they can do to help ensure that their offer is still valid. Now, I would not be surprised, particularly for a lot of students who are actually getting their decisions acceptance early already. They have already received their early decision, early acceptance, that most of these schools will likely just treat it as, nothing's happening. I mean, now keep in mind though, just because that's what they're telling you right now doesn't mean they can't change your mind. If you think about what's going on, even though you have received your early decisions or your early acceptance, I really doubt that the students would decide not to take the exam and just say, hey, you know what, I got accepted already, so why bother taking the exam? I'm pretty sure students would still have to take the exams, and they would expect to get a pretty good grade out of it because they have been doing so well in their course already. So having said that, it is still a good idea to communicate with the university just so that you can get a reassurance from them. Or you know what, maybe they do want you to do something extra. Having that initiative, talk to the universities first, definitely does not, it's a good thing. So having said that though, we also know that it is quite possible that there are still things that your school, the teachers at your school can still do to help with your grade. Some students, I mean, it is quite possible that some schools right now have not even done the mock yet. So what that means is that some of these schools who have been closed for more than like a month or even two, they don't have that mock scores to help, give it to IB to give you a much better prediction of what your score is. And even some students who decided that, hey, you know what, I'm doing pretty well. I don't really care about the mock. So their mock score actually might not be that great. So keep in mind that the IB is not cutting your score right now, that they're going to say, hey, whatever I received up to this moment, that's how we're going to grade you. I mean, the IB exam actually doesn't happen until April, and some schools don't stop teaching until, a couple of weeks before the study break. So what is very likely to happen is that they will still be given students assignment. They will still probably give them some kind of like test for students to do. So this is going to be important, that if you are not very comfortable with your predicted score, and you would know best, right? Your teachers probably already give you an idea what your predicted score is, and you have a good idea how you've been doing in school. If you believe that you actually need to actually do more, this is a good time for you to put more effort into every single assignment that you're receiving in your class. So do not treat it like this is it, just because the IB exam is telling us that, hey, you know what, there's no more exam, doesn't mean that there's no more work to be done. If you're not comfortable with your current score, if you're not comfortable with your current situations, please make sure you put extra effort into the amount of work that you're going to be assigned right now. I would not be surprised. A lot of school or even IB will take a look at your increase in performance, right, in your progression, and try to give you the benefit of the doubt and make sure that you're getting a score that you deserve. All right, so what if, there's really nothing much you can do? What can you kind of expect, or what can you prepare to do? There are a few things that a lot of people is probably thinking about. Number one, they probably say, well, you know what? My score that I'm getting currently is probably not as good as I predicted. So maybe the score that I actually end up might not be what the university is asking me to get. So I might want to appeal for the score, which definitely is something that you can do. And I would strongly recommend that if you feel like this is something that you're not comfortable with, sorry, you don't feel like your score is a good reflection of what you should be getting, definitely appeal. But keep this in mind, this is a very special year. There's going to be a lot of students who probably think the same way as you do. So there's probably going to be quite a lot of students who are going to be doing the appeal at the same time. That probably means with the current situations, the way that they are being calculated, the score, is not going to be as clear as, oh, let's go back to your exam and see if there's any questions that we marked incorrectly and maybe give you a better score. It's not going to be as simple as that. They're going to be looking back at all the work you've done. And again, we don't know whether the IB is going to give us a good guideline. What's the rubric of how they're giving us the score? And there's going to be very, very differences between the multiple schools, where certain schools have done the mocks, certain schools have not. So it's not going to be clear cut as to how they would actually remark your score if you file for an appeal. So as a student or as a parent, I think it is a good idea to think of some backup plans. So here's something that I throw out at. Now, not necessarily guaranteeing, though, that these will help, but as a backup, these are definitely things that you can consider. The first backup plan that I can think of is the November exam. So, keep in mind that there are going to be students, even if the exam was to move forward, then there will be certain students who actually might not receive the score that were expected or that they wanted. And some university will give them a backup plan and say, okay, why don't you try and take the exam again in November and make sure you get a better score, get the score that you are required to get. So that's the first thing you can think of. Consider taking the November exam. Now, I would say that the bad side to that is that you're going to have to wait another 6 months, which a lot of students might not necessarily have the luxury of waiting another 6 months before they go to university. Definitely, again, like I said, talk to universities and see if there's any kind of agreement that you guys can make. We definitely are hoping that things are going to get better by November, that the November exam will still be going forward. Looking at the situation right now, we see that a lot of countries are doing their best to actually try to contain this coronavirus right now. So I'm pretty confident that as time moves forward, by November, things should be getting better. All right, so what if you don't have the time to wait until November? What else can you do? Well, these are not guaranteed to be to help you, but I would say consider looking at other exams that are more frequent. For example, you might consider taking the SAT subject exam, particularly if you're going to UK for universities. Now, I'm sure if you're going to US for university, quite a lot of the universities are already asking you to take a subject test, which you might or might not have done already. If you have not done that yet, I strongly recommend that you try and study for some of the subjects that you feel is important for you. So, of course, the IB exams and the SAT subject tests are very, very different. They are not exactly totally different, but there are at least some usefulness for some of the subjects like the science. The physics, chemistry, and biology, they are very similar. I would say that for students who are taking higher level in IB, they might be actually overqualified to take the subject test. But hey, any kind of things that can support that you actually can do well in the subject, I think it's a good idea to consider. Mathematics and English is definitely another one. Now, I also understand that there are quite a lot of subjects in the IB that are not necessarily reflected in the subject test. Things like design and technologies, right? Things like business management. You might not have anything that is actually useful for you if you look at a subject test. But again, like I said, if there's anything that you feel like can help you boost your confidence, make you feel better, and have something ready just in case university is asking for these, they're definitely something you should consider. The next subject test will be available in June. Now, the SAT are also canceling their test because of the coronavirus. As a matter of fact, they already canceled the March and the May exam. Again, June seems like it's a closer time, and again, we're hopeful that things will get better by June. So at that moment, at least if you're ready for it, you can go ahead and take it. Otherwise, if you scramble in the last minute and realize that, hey, you know what, 2-3 months down the line, university tells you that taking the essay subject test actually will be helpful, then you study for it, or when then you actually go ahead and sign up for it, it might be a little too late. So that's just some sort of suggestion. If you haven't taken the ACT or the SAT entire suite of tests, that's another thing you can consider. Quite a lot of schools nowadays will take the ACT and the SAT as another way of looking into your admissions. So a lot of schools in the US probably already required to do it. So if your university is in the US, I would say you probably have done that already. Maybe you can consider trying to improve on that. It's not something that you necessarily have to think of, but it is definitely something that could be considered. The next ACT will also be in June. So unfortunately, the ACT has canceled their April exams also because of the coronavirus. So hopefully the June test will still be available. SAT, on the other hand, is a little further down the line. They have already canceled both the March and the May test. So the next available one will be in August. So then you really have to consider, is it worth taking the SAT at that moment? Could I just wait maybe 3 more months to take the November exams, the November IB exams? Totally up to you. So it's really something that you can consider. But those are the kind of things that I would suggest a student to think about, for parents to think about, if they are not particularly comfortable with what they're expecting to get as far as what their score is at this current level. Right, but what if you have nothing to worry about? What if you already have a pretty good predicted grade and your mock exam was exceptionally well? So what should you do? Well, just because you don't have an exam doesn't mean that you can just take the time and off and do nothing at all. I mean, think about this. Even though you are doing really, really well in school, I think a lot of universities still want to take a look at your IB exam score just to see what kind of student, how hardworking you are. The time that you spend to prepare for the exams reflects as how diligent, how hardworking you are. And that reflects out as a score. And I'm sure a lot of counselors, a lot of admission officers would like to see that even with the early decisions and early acceptance, they like to see a good score from the exam to show that they have accepted a really exceptional students. So now that you don't have to worry about that, what would you do? A couple of things you can do. Number one, start, actually learning maybe a new language, or even better, maybe you can start looking at some university courses materials. You already know probably what you want to do in university, so it's a good idea to go into your university's website and see what kind of courses they offer. A lot of universities nowadays actually put their courses online for free. MIT is one of them. I actually still go on their website and take a look at some of the math courses to enrich myself. So it's a good idea that you should go into some of the famous colleges like Yale, sometimes Princeton. They actually do offer some of their courses online for free. Obviously, you're not going to get credits for that, but it's a good enrichment process to help you get better, get prepared for the time that you'll be spending in universities, right? Instead of not doing anything during these coming few months. We still don't really know what's going to happen in summer. So right now, Even if you have done all your studying, so you got your supposedly 2 weeks of study break, and then now you have your whole, almost the entire May. You don't have to study for your exam. It could be a good idea to start looking into ways to enrich yourself. Otherwise, stay safe. We really don't know what's going to happen next. We do know that the IB will start contacting the schools in this coming week, and most parents will start receiving some kind of communications from their school, and they will definitely give you a better idea. For now, don't panic, right? It is the first time that the exam is being canceled, but I'm sure a lot of universities, a lot of places are going to be very understanding. Everybody is feeling the pain right now, so do not feel too bad about this. Do not panic. Just go with the flow. If you hear anything, definitely talk to your parents. Go contact your university. Don't push them down. Don't push them and get them like have them give you an answer immediately, because a lot of universities probably getting a bunch of inquiries right now. So just be patient. Ask them any questions that you have, and again, stay safe at home. Don't get sick. Okay, and just treat it like it's still going on in school. The only thing that's different is that you don't have to take the test. Good. And if you have any questions, anything at all, please feel free to contact us. If you have any issues about, learning about what you can do, or maybe even if you're interested in learning something that will help you prepare yourself in the universities, you can always contact us anytime, and we're more than happy to help you out. Okay, so stay safe, and thank you for your time.